There comes a time in every person's life when you realise it's not about doing what you are told, but doing what you know is right for you. Let us take a journey of learning and discovery with the world's most successful people who are living the life of their dreams, walking through life using their inner wisdom and being of service to others. Forget exams, grades and test scores. What is your purpose? As we let go of what we think should be and learn from our elders to gain knowledge, inspiration and a true sense of who we are. What are your dreams? Does your life have meaning? Are you living a life of significance? Let's talk with today's guest. Hello and welcome as we spend some more time together on the Learning on Fire podcast. Today I'm talking to Georgian Benta. Hi Georgian, thanks very much for joining me and let's explore the journey of who you are.
Yes, I'm really excited. Let's do this.
Fantastic. So let's start. Who are you? What's your background? What is it that you're into? And share a little bit about your life with us.
Yeah, definitely. So the interesting part about me and my story is that I'm Romanian. I live in Romania and I'm the host and the founder of the Gratitude podcast, a podcast that has an international audience, by now almost 500,000 downloads. And as you might have thought, until now I speak about gratitude. I interview people on their stories regarding gratitude. I am learning all the time and I'm sharing what I'm learning on the podcast. This is like a brief description of myself and what I'm doing.
Why start a podcast? Where did that little bit of history come into your life?
Curiosity. And this is really funny because I think it relates quite a lot with school. Even though I didn't do great in school, I was average. But I am a curious person and I love learning. Unfortunately, the school system where I learned wasn't fulfilling my need for curiosity as what I would have loved to. And of course, gratitude for me was a subject that had a really profound impact. Like whenever I felt really down, gratitude was really helpful for me to get back up. When things did go right, gratitude actually amplified that positive feeling. So it's something really helpful, and one of the things, actually the most impactful life skill that has been in my life for quite a while, and I wanted to learn more about it, how other people apply it, or actually find out their stories and the research on gratitude. It's a really interesting topic, and I'm really happy that many people think the same.
I absolutely agree, and I think for people listening, it's something which doesn't even come into their learning often, and actually to have someone on the show that your whole focus is on that at the moment and how it's affected your life, and to be able to share the stories of how it affects other people and their lives, I think it's an incredible gift, and I think it's something that people will really enjoy when they check your podcast out. So I can't wait to share all that information with them slightly later on in the podcast. So what does your life look like now, and how is it different from when you were growing up?
Well, the cool part, if there are people listening that are still in school, is the fact that I don't have any homework. So that's quite amazing. I actually thought about this a few days ago, that I got used with it, but when I was a child and I had to do homework instead of doing something that was more fun, that was really frustrating. And when I didn't have to do that anymore, it was like amazing. Like I really feel grateful that I don't have to do that anymore, to be honest. But it's filled with ups and downs like every other person's life, but it's much more full, and I'm enjoying it much more thanks to gratitude and to applying it in different areas of my life. It's really been a journey, and also the journey itself is very gratifying. It's much more exciting to live each and every day and not wait for Christmas, for instance, to be happy. And I know that I can be happy each and every day, and this is a real gift.
And I think that's a really important point you made there. And I think it's incredibly difficult for people that are in school, because you're in school from such a young age, all the way through up until your late teens. And it's something you have to do all the time. And all you know is, like you say, in school, homework, studying what you have to study, and then the holidays where maybe you'll chill out and end up spending all day in bed or whatever you can get to do. But the big difference is that once you've left and you've got freedom and you've got choice, you then have much more ability just to actually toe your own path, as it were. And I think actually, as we go through these interviews, it's been able to realise that while school is an integral and an important part of everyone's learning as a youngster, it's the fact that there are still certain things that you can do which can actually change the way that school feels to you. And I think actually the whole idea of gratitude and thinking about life in a slightly different way, I think can really help that. So let's move on. What was valuable about your school experience?
Let me see. For instance, one experience that is very powerful to this day is the fact that I had a great teacher, a great English teacher in high school. And even though I knew English before going to high school, the fact that we did many exercises out loud, and it wasn't something passive like it is in many situations, like the teacher talking at you or to you. It was more of a dialogue, and that gave me the confidence to actually speak more in English and to do what I'm doing today. Like I'm reaching people from Australia, US, Canada, UK, from everywhere around the world, thanks to school from some point of view, right? Like the fact that I had a great English teacher has helped me reach many people with my message, with what I'm about, with what I feel, and what is helping me live a better life. And I think this is incredible, truly.
And I think that's often the case for people, isn't it? Is that what's valuable about a school experience is often hand in hand with the teacher that you remember, because actually all these things, as in life, it's about relationships and communicating with people, and those two things really do go hand in hand. And I feel the same. There are things that I've done, I think, oh yeah, some of the academic stuff which I might not have really appreciated so much while I was at school, but they've given me the basis of being able to learn, so that as I've left school and I've gone on and I've been a musician and also setting up this podcast, understanding what I enjoy learning, how I can go about learning all the skills that I needed to do that, sort of learned how to become an editor, how to do all the technology that you need to record a podcast, all of that sort of thing. That did all stem from that basic understanding of learning which I had in school. And so even if you don't enjoy all of it, it's really good to pick out some of those really positive features, because they do give you something which, as you say, once you leave and you've got more freedom to expand, that I think that really can make a massive difference to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I also wanted to add something. I don't know if the university still counts as school from your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any learning experience and people that are learning, it comes under this umbrella, definitely.
Yeah. So when I was at the university, one of the teachers there, a leadership teacher, so I've graduated business school, actually made us work in teams, and I loved that. The fact that we were working in teams at each and every class. This is what we did. He gave us assignments, and we had to work in teams, and that was really crucial, and it was really helpful to actually communicate better with my classmates, to know how to work in a team and not just individually. And I think this is a skill that's very important. And at least in my situation, I think it was the only case where I actually got to do this, to work in teams. And another thing that I believe is really important and I appreciate about it was actually when I was taking my master's degree, they gave feedback, that the teachers gave feedback. I don't remember if it was just one particular teacher or if there were more than one. But the thing is that I didn't feel like I am the grade, like I am at B or A plus or something, or C. I knew that, okay, this was good and this can be improved. And I think this is extremely important for us to grow, because if we only think about, okay, I am a C-level student or I'm an F level or however, the thing is that if we see ourselves as being there, we will continue to have the same results because this is how we see ourselves. And the fact that I was given feedback and I understood what I did wrong, that was very valuable. And I knew that I could get better. And it's not like a stamp or I don't know exactly how I could say this in English, but like something that's put on you like a tattoo that's going to stick there forever. It's something that you can improve, and I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, there are a few things there which I really liked, and especially that idea of this, what this school experience gives to you. You know, if your school experience can give you information, and even if it's just about the way you learn, and what you said there about learning in groups, which I think is incredibly important in actually working together, and communication is really, really key. And it sounds like you learnt that from experience. You didn't learn it because it was something the school said you had to do. It's not like people sort of think, oh, my school experience, it's about how I learnt maths or how I learnt English or how I did computer science or whatever it happened to be. It can be much more broad than that. And also, you learn from all of those things just as what you take away from it. So I liked learning in this way in terms of working in a group, didn't like learning this way. And like you said, having ongoing dialogue and feedback where you feel like you're on a journey together with your teacher, where you can grow and express yourself and expand. That's a really positive thing to do. And like I say, it might have only been one teacher that did it rather than everybody, but you're learning from all these things, and you can just, I think, being able to take away from all of these experiences and relate them to you. You know, what's important to me, what can my takeaway be, and how can I fit that in my life to help me? And that's the key. I mean, you are the controller of your life, and not everything that you learn in school and everything that you get taught is going to necessarily work for you. But if you can distinguish between what does and what doesn't, then that's a really great experience to have.
Exactly, exactly. And it was really, really helpful to have that experience, especially taking into consideration that this is how we actually work. Like after we finish school, we usually work in teams. I can't think of many jobs that don't have to do with teams. Like you're just working alone and there's nobody else there. And unfortunately, most of the school systems cultivate individualism. Like you have to find the solution by yourself. If you ask a classmate or something, that's punished. And in reality, we cannot know everything ourselves, and that's why it's great that we have colleagues, that we have consultants, that we have people that can help us one way or another. And it can be really crippling to try to do everything ourselves. And I think this is a real problem of many school systems.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. And I think community and a feeling of safety that you can ask questions because you want to learn. And I think if you're in the right community in that scenario, people are very willing to help and support you. And it's just a question of actually putting yourself in that position. And I think that comes from comfort and, like we said, experience. So I think understanding that's a really key to everyone's sort of learning journey.
Definitely.
Who did you admire when you were young?
When I was young, at about 14 years old or something like this, an American entrepreneur came to our country. He was a millionaire, I think, already. And I loved his energy. Like he was a real leader. He was really he was happy. He had a lot of energy. Everyone loved him. I love the fact that he was so positive. And for me, since in our country, ever since the fall of the communist regime, there were many problems, and people in general weren't too positive. And seeing someone so positive was really mind blowing, and it was really something that I haven't experienced yet. And I really admired him and his energy and how much he believed in people, and that was really important as well.
Yeah, that sounds like that really was a big impact. A positivity, a change of energy, a change of approach, and I can really tell, like you say, when you've got a real culture difference going on, to be able to witness that and actually have someone, in the room showing you exactly what that's like. I can really understand that making a really big difference. And did it, sort of going a bit beyond that, did it sort of give you a bit of a different sense of belief that actually you had the opportunity to do that yourself if you decided to take those decisions?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually got to meet him personally, and he gave me a piece of advice to never give up, and I still follow it to this day because in whatever we're doing, even if it seems easy from the outside, or it might be even something that's very pleasant, like the podcast that I'm doing. I love doing it, and it's amazing. Like the people that I'm speaking with and the people that I'm meeting is something that was just a dream a few years ago, but it's still challenging at times because I have other projects going on. I have my own bills, my own expenses, and I have to find a way to balance everything, my own life with the work that I'm doing, and it can be challenging at times, but not giving up was really something that I got from him. It was something really powerful that I didn't forget.
Would you say that was the best piece of advice you've been given, or has anyone else had a big impact as well?
And I think that is it. Like his words were very impactful for me because we didn't speak for a long time. Like it was a really short, brief moment. But after seeing him succeeding, I felt that he was a successful man, and all of his positivity and everything made me think about his words. It was really cool that they weren't many words, but they were very powerful. And I've seen this being very powerful in my life many times. Like if I did something, you don't always get the fruit, to the results too early on. And if you don't give up, you get to see that what you did was worth it, and that indeed you have results, and it's well worth the risk and the work that you put into it.
I think that's true, and it just reminds me of the picture that I see occasionally of the miner underground, and you see him there with his sort of chisel and hammer chipping away, and he's just been there literally getting through coal and coal and coal, and he's about to give up, and then you can just tell the other side of the next thing he's going to take away underground, and there's like gold, and it's like everything he's been after is literally just one or two hits away, but he's sort of trying to decide whether to stop because he's been doing it for so long. And it is just a question of, if you've got that belief, if you're doing something that you love, if you've got a real passion about something, just keep going. I think that's great advice, because you don't know where it goes. And as you said, it does depend sometimes when you hear these pieces of advice, and whatever resonates with you, whatever age, even if it just sparks an interest, you can then, this day and age with the internet and everything, you can explore more about them and just have that as your key part of your education. If it talks to you and you really have sort of an intuition that it's something you want to explore more, even if it's just reading a book about them or finding something on their website, it just opens a whole avenue of information which you might not be getting exposed to in another way.
Yeah, exactly. And today we can listen to or even watch biographies of amazing people, and we can see how it is to be in their shoes and understand the fact that many of the people that have did amazing things in this world have had to persevere, have had to not give up in moments that were really, really hard for them. And I think this is an important lesson for all of us.
Yeah, it also reminds me of I watched a Disney film, or a film about Walt Disney, and I hadn't quite realised in his early years, what a struggle it was, and how he didn't have enough money, and he had to lay people off, and the studio sort of came and went, and he had fallings out with people he was working with. And then eventually, after time, after all manner of stories, we now know what Disney is today. It's a world leading brand of and everything that it stands for. But it didn't just happen overnight. There was a big struggle at the beginning before all of that started to really take shape. And so I think understanding that everyone's on a journey and these things don't happen overnight is a really key thing to really hold on to, even if you feel like you're struggling and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel just where you are at the moment. I think that's absolutely great advice. What advice would you give your younger self?
I love this question. I actually asked a question very similar to this one in my own podcast. I would tell my younger self to slow down and to be in the present more, to appreciate the things that are relevant to the age that he is at. Like when I was younger, I was very ambitious and I wanted to prove myself and I wanted to be a grown man and I wanted to be something that I wasn't yet. That was really challenging at times, and it was really hard to compete, to be in this competition all the time, instead of enjoying just being a child and enjoying the things that were relevant to my age. I think this is an important part of our development. Skipping that isn't the best idea, in my opinion. Like, if you're a child, if you're in school, enjoy that period. Do as many things as you can do that are relevant to that period. See where life takes you. For instance, it was helpful for me that I started working at a really young age. I have a lot of experience now, even though I'm still young. But the thing is that I feel from some points of view that I didn't get much further because I did those things early on. Because for my development as a human being, not just professionally, it is important, and it was important to do some things at that certain age. And I did them afterwards to balance myself out. But I think it's an important part that many, at least guys, do, and I think it's important to think about it.
Yeah, I really love that. Just being accepting of where you are, and there's always this idea that when I'm older I'll do this and I'll strive for this and I'll create this and I'll do that. But like you say, when you're younger, then you have different priorities and different things that you've got the ability to do, which you won't have when you're older as well. And I think actually that's really, really important for people to take on board. Really enjoy where you are, what you have now, and make the most of it. And it goes a little bit back to what we were saying before about the intuition, isn't it? Just if you're not quite sure, just taking some quiet time and actually seeing what you feel is right. And I think that then just gives you a real sort of guiding light if you're not quite sure and you've got yourself in a loop of I must do this or I must do that. Just having a little bit of quiet time and just spending some time with yourself just enables you to know what your best path is.
Exactly, yeah.
What does your future look like?
To be honest, I don't have a clear image. I like to be surprised. I think that we are creating our future each and every day with the habits that we have and the way we think and where our focus is. I think it's going to have a lot to do, of course, with the podcast, with gratitude. I would love to be able to speak in different countries, to share what I've learned and to share the idea and how to actually apply gratitude in different areas of our lives. But other than that, I think it's going to unfold the way it should be unfolding. And I think having this sense of mystery is important, especially since I have a tendency to be a bit objective driven and things of that nature. But being surprised is also an important part of life, and mystery is very important.
And I guess it's that kind of, enjoying the fact that it's a journey for everybody. You don't quite know where it's going to go. Most people, I guess, if they looked over their life, realise that they don't necessarily head in a straight line to where they think they want to go. And what I really liked about your answer was the fact that it was about what you enjoyed, the sorts of things that you'd like to be involved in and how you'd like to do them, rather than, I think, especially some youngsters, sometimes it's much more about kind of, well, I'd like to have £1,000,000 in the bank, and I'd like to be married, and I'd like to have 2.4 children, and I don't mind if it's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but and just sort of having it must look like this. I need 4 holidays a year and that kind of thing. And it's, I think, having the fact that this is what I'm into, this is the type of thing I'd like to spend my time doing, and just allowing life to unfold in the way that seems right for you, I think it's such a really it's an inspirational way of just allowing life to be, but also having enough control of knowing who you are and what you're about and seeing where that's going. So I think that's absolutely fabulous to listen to. What podcast, book, film, video, song, or a resource has had the biggest impact on your life, and why was that?
I wanted to first add a little something to what you actually responded to my answer. So I used to be like that. Like, I used to want the cars and the $1,000,000 or £1,000,000 or whatever. And this is how we are trained to think. Like, we see people that are successful and that have those things, and we think that that's happiness and that's what we should strive for. But it's really not that. Like, we want, many times we just want to be loved, or we just want to be appreciated, or we just want to find something that fulfills us, to find work that is actually meaningful. And these things actually have a much bigger impact on us than any car in the world.
Yeah. Because
if you don't know how to enjoy life, how to appreciate the things that you have, the more you will have, it will just not make you more grateful, more appreciative of life and of your experience. It's really up to you what happens on the inside and how much you're able to enjoy and appreciate things. And yeah, getting back to your question now, Man's Search for Meaning is a book that has been really inspirational for me, and it's one of the 2 books that got me to actually start the podcast. I don't know if our listeners know about it, or if you know about it. It's about it's the story of a man that has been in the concentration camps during the World War, and he talks about how he managed to survive there and what happened on the inside of those camps, and on the inside of the people that are there, and how important it is for us human beings to have meaning, and how those people that had meaning and that were thinking that even though their situation is really, really, really bad in those moments, they believed, they felt that they can give meaning to that experience. And he did. He wrote this book, and he actually started a new branch in psychology, and that he actually survived for that reason. And that his story is just very inspirational, and many people have been influenced by it. Another book that I really love is Conversations with God. It gives you a very, very interesting perspective on the relationship that we have with the Creator, the universe, God, however you like to call him. And it's really helpful in getting to find out what you're here for. And I think this is an important part of our journey, and of us appreciating it more. And also a podcast that has been really influential for me is the Gratitude Podcast, because I'm doing it and I'm really involved. And I'm saying this because when you are doing something for other people and you're involved in this as much as I am in the podcast, for instance, it really has a big impact. Like, I got to do it because of my curiosity, because I wanted to learn new things and I wanted to overcome some challenges. I wanted to get better at different things. And the fact that I was able to share it with the world and to be in a position where I could ask questions, ask people that are really well known questions that I wanted answers to. That was a really, really amazing experience.
That's fabulous. And can you tell us the best way for people to find out more about you and explore some of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me and the podcast on Apple, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find it by searching for Gratitude. It's the Gratitude Podcast, but you should find it easily by just searching for Gratitude. Also, you can find me on my website, georgianbenta.com. I would love to hear from you if you've listened to this episode. Go to, or actually write an email at hello@georgianbenta.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and you can write a message there.
That's fabulous. Thank you, Georgian, for sharing your wisdom and allowing us to learn from all your experiences.
Yeah, thank you. I really loved being here on Learning on Fire. It's really an amazing concept, and I'm really happy that you had me as a guest.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Learning on Fire podcast. For more information, please visit educationonfire.com and follow the links from the homepage. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.